This is Adventure for Life. I'm Joel. This is the synopsis for the 50th anniversary of the 74 Cutlass cross-country tour adventure odyssey. But right here where we started, it's been 9,800 miles is how much I put on the car. Obviously just shy of 10,000, burned about 750 gallons of gas, spent about $3,000 on gas. It was a great trip. Just to recap a little bit, Mount Washington, Niagara Falls, Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Ark Encounter outside of Lexington, Kentucky, the Corvette Museum. I went across the Oklahoma Panhandle, which I didn't video, Durango, Colorado, Page, Arizona, saw Zion, saw Horseshoe Bend, saw Antelope Canyon, went to Four Corners, drove across one of the most barren places I've ever been, Parker, Arizona, Joshua Tree National Park, on into San Diego and the Borderfield State Park. So I went from the southeast to the far northeasternmost point in the United States in Maine to the far southwesternmost point in California, and then back here. So just wanted to, I thought I'd give you a little quick rundown of the trip, and then also let's talk about the car for a second. I made it, 9,800 miles, and this 50-year-old car made it. Now, I didn't wash it. It's going to get washed later. Today, I'm taking it to the place that does the work on it, and I've made a laundry list of things that need to get done, but it made it, and there's something to be said for that, for a car that's been totally restored. And you know, this was the big test. One of the things I love about it, by the way, is you see the color in the sun, and then as I move around, the color changes as it gets into the shade. I'll probably say that about some other cars, but this particular paint job to me is really shows the differences there. Anyway, so what were the big two problems? Radiator, transmission. So I got the radiator, a workaround done in Las Vegas by a friend of mine, and for the radiator. So the radiators at this moment, they run 100% of the time. If the car's running, the radiator fans are running. And you know, that's good. I don't think that's a long-term solution, so I'm going to get that looked at. And then the transmission issue, you know, I'm not sure that it wasn't just that I was dumb and didn't check the transmission fluid level. You know, I had this thing, I had the oil changed and all that done, had it serviced right before I left on this trip, and I made the assumption that the guys that did that would check the transmission fluid and make sure it was full, and you know, that didn't happen. So shame on them, shame on me. I did, by the way, on this trip add this little piece here, so it's not a big deal, but I had that piece, and I visited my mom and dad on this trip, and that piece, the red, was missing out of the middle of it, and I had bought a piece to put on there, but it needed a little modification, and my dad helped me do that because he's mechanically oriented. You do see, obviously, you know, the bug nastiness is about as nasty as it gets on the bumper, so I'm looking forward to getting that cleaned off. Anyway, great trip. For anybody who's ever said, you know, I want to go do so-and-so, go do it. There's going to be some good things in the trip, there's going to be some bad things in the trip, but when you're done, you'll be glad you did. And I appreciate you guys watching. Look forward to the next adventure. Not sure what it's going to be, but again, thank you guys for participating, coming along, and hopefully you got some enjoyment out of this, and hopefully you'll finish restoring that car that you got, or go on that trip that you've been talking about going on. So this is the addendum. Seems like there's always that one thing I forgot to talk about that I wanted to mention. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. You know, I intended to go to, obviously, as many restaurants as I could get to on this trip. I tried probably 6 or 7, only ended up in 4, but wow, get on the internet and look up the websites that talk about that and go to those restaurants. The 4 that I ate at were fantastic. They're mom and pop, and so they obviously would appreciate the business. I was surprised that, you know, I figured they'd all be packed, but they weren't. And anyway, it was well worth the time and effort to do that, and I'm going to do that on any trip I do going forward, and I highly recommend it to you. All right, thanks again, and see you next time.